morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Town of Portland Board of Education podcast. And with us in the studio, our last podcast in the studio, which is going to be at the Portland High School, is our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Charles Britton. Hi, Charles. How are you?
Dave, for our listeners here, tomorrow is your last day.
It will be.
40 years.
50.
50 years, sorry. 50 years, Dave, my goodness. And, one of the things I want to hold you to, Dave, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful retirement, long, healthy, take care of yourself, do some fun things. But I'm hoping that we can keep doing these. Like, I'll come down to the music store and we...
Sure.
And it's neat because this podcast, we've been doing these almost every month.
Yeah.
For 4 years.
Yeah, we've got, I think, Board of Education, I think we're basically over 70 podcasts.
Right. Like, what a great record.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, between these podcasts and recording every single Board of Education meeting,
Sure.
There is a really important record potentially here for posterity, if for no other reason.
Well,
right?
it's oral history.
Right.
It is oral history, and
Right.
that it's something that people cherish. I mean, you look at the I'm just in the process now of talking with the Town Historical Society,
Right.
and they're looking at these podcasts and say, hey, we could do the same thing.
Right.
Okay, and in the history of the town and all of that kind of stuff.
I mean, you have the Smithsonian has done these things, and
Sure.
and it's also, I got to tell you, thank you for doing these with me, because I've gone back on occasion and re-listened to them or watched the tape from a board meeting, because sometimes I forget.
Sure.
Right? I'm like, what did I say? I hope I didn't confuse people in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty consistent with how I remember it. But every now and then I've been like, oh, I missed that. I forgot we were wrestling with that issue during the pandemic.
Yeah,
And
there are these little nuances.
little nuances.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
thank you for doing these, and
pleasure.
I'm hoping we can keep doing them even in your sunsetting here.
Absolutely. I know Ryan wants to keep doing his, and you want to, so we'll work out an arrangement. We can make it all happen, and we can come down to the store. And when we get down to the store, we also have the capability of video, so we can put our smiling faces.
Well, I have a face for radio, so I like the podcast, but we'll see where that goes.
No worries. All right. Hey, we had a very interesting meeting last night with the it was a combination Board of Ed and Board of Selectmen meeting, but we had, is it Great Blue?
Great Blue, yeah.
Okay,
it was awesome.
came in and did their presentation. So kick it off and, tell
Look,
us.
it was wonderful. So this podcast I'll summarize some of that. In addition, we're going to put the Great Blue report up it's going to be on the town website, and I'll
Yep.
put it on the board side, and a video of Seamus's The Great Blue presentation. It's wonderful. So the headline is 1,000 people filled out the survey, right? I mean, it generated way more in terms of sample size.
Yes.
I mean, we got a really good, healthy return. So thank you. I know it wasn't an easy survey either. I mean,
No. But people took the time.
people took the time, and I think that reflects how important people see this, right? So thank you, everybody, for answered it. And now, big drum roll, let's go through some of the data and see what people think, right?
Let's do it.
So the first thing I was really happy to see is some of the initial questions about, are schools important to you? How is your quality of life in town? Are you planning to stay here for a while? Are you comfortable with the schools and your experience in them? All very positive. I think that's not a surprise to me. It's a wonderful town, beautiful community, outstanding teachers who really value positive relationships with parents and kids, and I think that's reflected in people's regard for the schools. I also was very not surprised to see almost universal recognition that the schools are a mess. The infrastructure is a disaster. We cannot bury our head in the sand. Nothing has been done in these schools for, in some cases, 30, 40 years now. Something must be done.
Absolutely.
Right. And that came through loud and clear, that
Yes.
people are happy with the schools in terms of the people who are running them and the teachers and the quality of the experience, but also recognizing that they're crumbling.
Yes.
And it is true. Yeah. If anybody responded to that survey and said, no, I don't think anything needs to be done with the schools infrastructure-wise, give me a call.
Yes.
Let me give you a tour.
Yep.
Especially on the day after one of these wicked rainstorms where there's a waterfall down the walls and hallway at Valley View.
Well, and when you have the buckets in the hallways,
Embarrassing. It's terrible. So those two things, I think, certainly reflect my understanding of the community and the schools and the current state of the infrastructure. And I think that those are not truthiness; those are facts.
Yes.
It is the schools,
and you
need
can't
help.
deny it.
Right. And we've had 2 architecture firms come out and say, you better do something quick, or you're going to be looking at a situation where you have critical infrastructure failures.
Absolutely.
So that was great to start with. And then the other thing I was happy to see is people valued the same things that the facility study committee did.
Yep.
Overwhelming support for creating schools that update school security, indoor air quality, provide for a pleasant environment, are ADA compliant. All of those things that we brainstormed as a committee that we wanted to accomplish. The 1,000 people who looked at that said, in some cases, up to 90%, yeah, absolutely. This is the world we live in. It's hotter in the summer months. School security is a huge priority these days. Your priorities are our priorities.
Sure.
And the big one also being, put us on the path that's fiscally sustainable.
Right.
We're all aware of inflation, the costs of labor and resources and supplies and equipment and upkeep is shocking to many of us.
Sure.
And people are recognizing, I'm willing to pay taxes to support our schools, but please put us on a path that's sustainable.
Exactly.
Right. So there we are. Those are the baseline things, and I don't think those were a surprise. I mean, you saw the video. Would you agree with me?
I wholeheartedly, 100%.
So then the big one was, okay, so what do you think? Here are your options. Maintain 3 schools and fix them up and then pay for the upkeep and overhead on them. Reduce to 2 schools or reduce to 1 school. And I would say in a pretty overwhelming, not overwhelming, but 58% of the one option that most people approved of, and overwhelming up to 68% of parents approved of, is consolidate to 1 school.
Yeah.
Decommission Brownstone, decommission Gildersleeve, and create a larger, with added extension, renovated to New Valley View, move all your schools onto one campus,
Yep.
and have one either pre-K 5 or pre-K 6 school, and then of course the middle school and high school.
Right.
And I think that people saw the value of that from the teaching and learning side in terms of creating a facility that would be state-of-the-art and wonderful for the kids, but also recognize the inherent savings from that consolidation, and that does mean reductions in staff,
Yes.
certified and non-certified,
Yep.
and not having to pay for the maintenance, equipment, upgrade, electric, gas, all the things that
Yes.
take to run 3 schools,
Sure.
would generate the type of savings that over time would pay for itself
Yes.
in terms of over a 30-year lookout.
Sure.
So that's my takeaway.
Oh, I think you're spot on, and like you say, and it's not like we're unique. I mean, everybody is experiencing aging infrastructure, not only in their education systems, but in their roads and their bridges and all of that kind of stuff. And that's something, if we're going to be good stewards of our tax base, and we owe it to our taxpayers to operate in the most efficient manner, and in doing that, we can eliminate a lot of those unneeded costs.
That, in my opinion, is 50% of the need, and the other 50% is let our teachers teach and our students learn in a wonderful place.
Sure.
A place that I'm not closing because it's too rainy. A place I'm not closing because it's too hot. A place
Yes.
that's not flooding or has good indoor air quality and is secure and has all of the types of things that will make our students feel like they love their school and want to be there, and isn't a crumbling parking lot where they're running around on blacktop for recess. Right?
Yes.
Like a nice school.
Yep.
It is the perfect win-win. The beautiful school that is the most fiscally sustainable option. To me, Dave, I don't know if there's any other description of a no-brainer.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I think, once, and like you say, if people have doubts in that, give you a call.
Give
You'd
me
be
a call.
glad to give them a tour.
Give me a call.
As far as that, you're absolutely right.
And then of course the other big takeaway, which is going to take some time, but it's something we should take the time to do, and I know the Board of Selectmen has taken these steps in that direction. Is the community before the community is ready to embrace this idea fully vetted and fleshed out, some decisions and communication about what Gildersleeve would become
Yes.
and what Brownstone would become when they're decommissioned as schools, that needs to be factored into all of this. And I think that's a function of Portland's experience with a boarded up Center Street school for 16 years.
Exactly.
I don't think anybody is going to really buy into a plan that leaves a blighted mess in the middle of your town on Main Street.
Well, exactly.
Or two blighted messes in the middle of your town on Main Street. And that's the work of another committee that really has to get going.
Yeah, and I think that was clear in the
survey.
In the survey, before we do anything, we have to give them a solution of what's going to happen and how we're going to deal with that. Prior to spending any money. From that side.
Exactly. So, at this point, our Board of Education has to meet and discuss this further. Our Board of Selectmen have to meet and discuss this further. The survey was a very important and insightful piece of data that I know we were all waiting anxiously for. But it's decision time, Portland. It's time for everybody to come together in good faith, look at the real numbers, talk about this thing in a thoughtful way, and move forward. And I say that the sense of imperative behind that is, I give our current condition of our schools 3 to 5 more years before we're experiencing critical failures in the infrastructure.
Yep.
And that's at most.
Sure. Well, and I think realistically, you look at the money that we spent on this survey was money well spent.
Yes.
I think it was an objective survey. It was non-biased. From that standpoint. And again, looking at the data in the the proposals and the 3 options that he put forward. Okay, it was very clear. Okay, what our citizens thought. And they were consistent.
I totally agree. And then I just would pivot, and I'm not entirely ready to talk to you about the budget right now, except to say that our Board of Education is taking a look at it. But I've just got to put out there, one thing about the budget in the context of the survey and the ongoing facilities improvement plans is people don't work free.
No.
Right? We expect a salary.
Yep.
And we expect a health benefit package because we're in a country that still ties your health insurance to employment. We haven't become a real first world country with a single payer health system.
Yep.
We're still a country that sees health care as a function of a capitalist endeavor for which you must pay.
Yep.
The expenses of that alone they've mind-boggling to me. I don't know how it's sustainable as a country for us to continue to run healthcare the way we are.
I think you're right.
The percent increases that we're getting to take care of people, which is, I'm showing you maybe some of my political feelings about whether healthcare is a right or a function of capitalist endeavor.
Right.
But we're a function of capitalist endeavor, which means that the Portland Board of Education pays a private company, and this is the basis of Connecticut's economy in Hartford, right? Like, we are the health insurance capital.
Yep.
A unbelievable sum of money.
Yes.
That if we don't reduce faculty and staff, we're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of 8, 9, 10% increases.
Yes.
In budget increases, which I can promise you nobody hearing my voice is going to support. And if we go in that direction, we're talking about failed referendums and difficult situations.
Yes.
So I'm anxious.
Yes.
I'm aware of these budget drivers around salary and benefit and special education costs and other things, and we can't afford almost not to.
Well, and that's the thing, rightfully so. It gets to a situation where, either we're going to be in the business or we're not going to be in the business. And, you have to, I know Tom struggles with that every year,
Right.
when he goes out to bid for, health insurance and so forth, and those costs come in, when you're looking at double digit percentage increases, okay, it's not sustainable.
Not sustainable. The only way it's sustainable is if you have fewer people for whom you have to provide those benefits.
Exactly.
Right? And that's why I don't want to be doom and gloom here, right? I want to be because there's some real opportunities. I'm going to be glasses half full here.
Mhm.
If Portland makes the right decisions now, I understand it's going to mean people will be laid off.
Yeah.
It will mean reductions.
Mhm.
But by consolidating, we have the opportunity to address aging infrastructure,
Mhm.
create an amazing environment for our students,
Yep.
and put this town on a fiscally sustainable path.
Yes.
That is what we need to do.
Well, and I think that's as our jobs as administrators, we have to be, again, good stewards of the funds that our taxpayers provide.
100%. And amazing stewards of the future of our children.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, and I get it. Like, I am concerned about, I pay high taxes too. I live in Connecticut.
Yeah.
I get it. But I understand also that my kids are going through a public school system now, and the teachers and the services that are provided by that school district are creating two amazing kids, and I am intensely grateful for that school
Yep.
district for that reason.
Yeah. Exactly. And like I say, we're not the only town and municipality that's going through this.
Right.
And it's struggling with that. And I'm not going to say it's a boat anchor around us, but again, it can tend to be overwhelming.
It can be. Yeah, it can be if you allow it. It can be if you're not looking ahead and trying to be as creative and thoughtful, and check as many boxes as you can.
Right.
Understanding. And I would just say this too. I understand and recognize, and actually I'm grateful that not everybody will agree with me.
No.
I don't want lemmings. I want people to disagree. We'll do so civilly. We'll make our arguments. Disagree with me, because out of that disagreement, here's what I would invite anybody. If you have a better idea,
Mm-hmm. Bring it on.
bring it to me.
Yeah. Well, the facts are the facts.
The facts are and maybe I need to consider a different set of facts that I haven't. But if anybody hearing my voice is hearing me saying, Charles, you're missing something.
Yes.
What I'm begging you, you owe it to your town and as much to me as possible, share those with me.
Sure.
Because maybe I am missing something. But I've been thinking deeply about this and have had great committees and really thoughtful people tackling this. And I think we've got a path forward here.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. And again, the survey was I think clear in that respect, and I think it was money well spent.
I do too. And look, you're going to get this podcast, you're going to get the survey, you're going to get the video of the presentation.
Yep.
All of the information from the facility study committee is there. The architect's reports. I mean, my goodness, I couldn't be more transparent in terms of sharing information we're working with.
Right. Right.
It just means that people have to invest some time in looking at it,
Mm-hmm.
forming opinions about it, seeking clarification, and at the end of that, if you have better ideas or you think I'm on the wrong path,
Yeah.
give me a call. I'll
Sure.
come over to your house. We'll have a cup of coffee. We'll go take a walk on the new track, whatever you need.
Absolutely.
Talk me out of it. If you think I'm wrong, let me know.
For sure. For sure. Well, that's great. Well, I think that gives us a good perspective of that. So, pivoting over, we're just got through the holidays. So, what's happening in the school systems now?
We're good. We had some snow days. Actually, it's white on the ground right now. Beautiful.
And it's cold.
Cold for we skiers. We're in heaven going up to Mount Snow this weekend. I can't wait for ski the run of the year. But no, we're in a great place. We're about to flip over here at the high school. Second semester, our elementary
Yep.
schools are on trimesters, so
Yep.
they're a little different. But I'm out in the classrooms every day. I see kids and teachers bundled up generally because it's cold out.
It is.
But it's a fabulous time of year. Dave.
Well,
I love the dark days of winter. Even though it's there, it's great. If you like the cold, you're in heaven, and that's where I'm at.
Well, like my parents used to say, the cold, it gets rid of a lot of the germs.
Yes, that's true. Well, sometimes it brings them in too. But we're in a stretch of the year that some really high quality teaching and learning happens because it's a good long run from here to
Right.
April vacation.
Yes, it is.
We have the President's Day, but we're really in the moment where our teachers are getting it done.
We're dialed right in.
Yeah, dialed. The relationships are developed, the routines and transitions are established, and we are in the heavy lift of teaching and learning, and I'm seeing it in these classrooms. Couldn't be more impressed with what our students are doing, how hard they're working. Same with the teachers. We're hitting all the right notes.
That's great. That's great. I think sports-wise, I think we're in the winter sports season.
We are. We've got wrestling, basketball's going. Cheerleading is up and running. Things are good. Yeah, teams are doing well. Fun to see them work. Then we're heading into spring musical. I know they're getting geared up for that.
Yeah, we're doing what, Matilda?
Yeah.
Ah,
that's
nice.
Right. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a fun one. So we're heading in the right direction, Dave.
That's great.
It's gonna be a very busy spring.
Well, that's great. Well, Charles, thank you so much for coming up and doing the podcast, and we'll look forward in keeping these going and in a different location, and we'll get it done. Go
Good.
from there.
And Dave, after 50 years, enjoy your last day tomorrow.
I
What are you
intend
gonna
to.
do?
People have. Yesterday, I got a call from the library, and of course, this is. You got to come down and look at the video camera. Something's screwed up, and so forth. So I said, okay. I said, so I grabbed Bill and Peter. And I says, let's go down and check it out. They wanted me down there. I says, okay. I go down there, and they spoofed me. They had a nice cake and a surprise,
okay,
and
that's
they had a nice keto lunch for me and so forth. And in fact, after this podcast, my tech crew, Peter, Bill, and Morgan and Kyle, who's our level 3 support, our contractor, they're taking me out to lunch. So
Good,
I'm
Dave.
going to be doing that. And but right now I'm just kind of coasting.
Are you gonna cry tomorrow?
Make
Make it a little misty. 50 years, of course.
I was misty yesterday when I
Oh.
walked into the library and all of the girls were there, and in fact, I don't know if you've heard the story, but I doing all the phones and the alarms, I constantly get called in the middle of the night to go answer an alarm, and last year I got a call for a motion detector at the library, and so I go down there, and this is at 3:00 in the morning. I walk in the library and disarm the alarm, and so they said it was the alarm company said it was the motion detector in the staff area. So I go back in the staff area. I don't see anything. I go back and I'm coming back out. In the meantime, the police are just arriving. So I'm walking towards the door, and I see this thing moving, motion on the corner of my eye. And lo and behold, it was a raccoon.
Oh my gosh.
And the raccoon had gotten into some of the HVAC, weren't caulked correct, and it got in above the ceiling, and it fell through the ceiling. So that was the raccoon. So they got me this Davy Crockett raccoon hat
Nice.
they gave me.
Hey, well,
So
the alarms work.
the alarm did work.
There you go.
The alarms work. So, but just something. And I had some nice people from I do the water boot camps at MDC. Reach out to me yesterday, and they said, we always have all of the staff here always remembers a Dave K story. So
Nice.
just to go from there. But yeah,
Well, good luck.
it's going to be bittersweet. But like I say, we're keeping moving forward, and we got some plans to do some mobile podcasting, and go from there.
Terrific. Thank you, sir.
Alrighty. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself and Dr. Britton, that is our last podcast from here in the Portland High School podcast studio. And again, thank you so much, Charles, and it's been a pleasure, and we'll look forward to you keeping our podcast going. So thank you so much.